Now, although the results pointed to many things other than benefit increases that had driven this problem, we saw the effects in what happened with Senate Bill 1946, and because some of the funds are truly probably going to become insolvent in the near future because of a reckless funding approach over a long period of time, we sat down with the municipal groups last year and tried to find a fix to the problem. Now, all of the parties stated that their goal was to create a fair benefit structure for police and firefighters, that after someone served their community throughout their career, they would be able to have a modest pension to be able to take care of them and their family. And we also stated on both sides of the table that we didn't want to create a pension system that made our state less safe, that had firefighters beyond their years when they should be performing a very dangerous profession, police officers as well, that they would be forced to stay on the job because of an inability to retire. We negotiated throughout the spring legislative session, and the culmination was a 9.5-hour negotiation session in early May, I believe, where we came a long way towards an agreement. Now, that agreement wasn't easy to reach while still maintaining the goals that were stated at the beginning of the negotiations. That's because despite what you might read in the paper, or despite what is contained in some of the municipal advocacy groups' literature that is distributed, police and firefighters throughout the state do not have an overly lavish benefit. You read about the $100,000 pension, and they're going to draw it for the next 37 years and take out 10 times as much as has been funded during their career. That is not the case. What are the facts? And these facts come from the Public Pension Division of the Department of Insurance about a downstate police and firefighter. The average police and firefighter are hired at 28 years old. The average length of service, 26 years. The average retirement age is 54 years old. So most firefighters do not maximize the benefit. The average hiring age is 28. They'd have to stay to be 58 years old. Why is that? Because they are no longer able to do the job. The average monthly annuity for a firefighter is $3,700, and it's very comparable to the police. Now, what's different and unique about the downstate, the local government retirement systems, including Article 3 and Article 4, unlike the statewide systems, is health insurance is not part of the benefit package that a police or firefighter receives when they retire. Statewide, for health insurance, premiums for a retiree range from $1,200 to $1,700 a year. So that gross $3,700 annuity, once that health insurance is deducted directly out of that check each month, they're left with in between $2,000 to $2,500 in discretionary income to be able to buy food, to be able to purchase medicine. We don't view that as an overly generous benefit. We view that as a benefit that is fair to our employees that have worked a very, very difficult job over a number of the years protecting citizens in their community. Now, although all of that is absolutely true, facts concerning the current system, again, we understood that changes needed to be made. And as part of our negotiations and what we were willing to agree to a bill in terms of benefit reductions at the end of the spring legislative session were a higher retirement age, a reduced formula, a reduced maximum benefit, a reduced COLA for our annuitants, and reduced survivor benefits for new employees, similar to what was done in Senate Bill 1946. Our changes that are in House Bill 5873, Amendment 3, that currently resides in the Senate, Senator Link is the sponsor, those changes we agreed to at the table would have resulted in a 50% savings for the employer contribution for an employee hired after January 1st. Because we also agreed to a rolling amortization period that was discussed earlier, municipalities' employers would immediately have received up to a 10% savings for property tax payers because of the extension and the change of approach to the amortization period. We agreed to all of that on the benefits side. We asked the employer groups for one thing in exchange to those significant benefit contributions, that we put an enforcement mechanism into the law that would require, and believe me, many of the municipalities that are represented here today are not the examples of what we are talking about. But unfortunately, as you all know, there are the bad actors that have not lived up to their obligation for many, many years. So we asked for a contributions and compliance mechanism to be placed in the law. Now, although that contribution compliance mechanism has been described as unprecedented and penalties and, taking taxpayer money a grab by the pension boards, it's ironic that it's being characterized that way because it was a cut and paste activity out of the enforcement language found in the IMRF code, Article 7. So our current position as we sit here today, and I know I'm speaking for fire and perhaps the police groups, I don't want to speak for them, they can state their own position, is we have a bill, House Bill 5873, Amendment 3, that will save taxpayers 50% for new employees, up to 10% immediately, and in exchange for all of those benefit reductions that frankly are hard to do because as I described by the cause, we don't believe they're warranted or just, we're asking municipalities to follow what has been in the statute for decades. One thing I forgot to mention is that we're not even asking them to follow that today or tomorrow. We're offering 2015 as the year to become in compliance. Our theory is that with the benefit reductions, employers would have the opportunity to realize savings over the next 5 years and be able to live up to their obligations at a future date. So we are currently supporting Amendment 3 to House Bill 5873. With respect to the sponsor of the legislation, we're working very closely to try to craft a bill over here as well as that currently resides in the Senate, but we respectively ask that it looks hopefully identical, but certainly very similar to what's contained in the legislation that we negotiated in the spring legislative session. And we respectfully ask all of the committee members to support that position. Thank you very much.